From Unity of Houston, Texas, this is the Awakened Life with Reverend Howard Caesar. Unity is a non-denominational spiritual community providing a positive, practical, and progressive approach to Christianity. Let's join the service in progress now with Reverend Howard Caesar.
So I have returned from 3 weeks in India, attending what is called the Oneness University. And I've been traveling there about once a year for the last 10 years as part of my spiritual growth and deepening. And because people tend to convey to me, as I bump into them coming back, that they are looking forward to hearing about my experience and maybe some of what that was about, I am led to go ahead and use this lesson time to kind of share a bit about that experience, though in no way can you share all of what goes on in 3 weeks, and it's 3 courses, one each week, and one builds on the next, and there's a lot that it entails, but I will share a bit in some of the things. I was drawn to oneness in the Oneness University because it is about oneness, and I was drawn into the Unity ministry because unity is about oneness. Unity and oneness are synonymous. Unity is about unity with God, uniting with God, uniting with humanity, uniting with all creation, uniting with all that is of God. I've always felt since a young man, and even as a boy, that we're all one. There's one God, and that regardless of the different divisions that exist in our world, that we need more and more of that energy of people recognizing and living from the consciousness that really we are all one, and releasing anything that stands in the way. And that's a big dynamic that we're into, really. The biggest lesson we have to learn in this lifetime is oneness, because out of oneness, and a oneness with the divine, you come to know who you are, you come to know your relationship with all life, all people, and love and joy blooms in you. It is in oneness that you become a vessel through which love and joy is expressed and pours through you, because that's what God is love and joy. So I found that in the Oneness University that many of the teachings and many of the ideas were very, very similar, very much in alignment. I found no conflict in the things that they were shared based on what we were about here in Unity. Certainly there are things and processes, they take you very deep that we could no way duplicate here, that really you'd only have to go there to receive. They've been doing this for thousands of years in India, where much of spirituality was birthed. And it's even said that that's where Jesus went during the hidden years, that he was there in India. And so anyway, it is the land of Hinduism. It has an Eastern flavor to it, and it includes these ancient teachings, processes, rituals, chantings, various experiences, yoga, meditation, this and more. Yet in no way are they ever trying to convert you into something, because they are about oneness and honoring whatever path you have come from, whether it's a path or no path, whoever you worship, whether it's Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, or no one, you are welcome there, because they want to take you deeper into the realization of oneness and connecting with the divine, that we are all one in. And so they say the world does not need another religion, and that basically they don't even at all want to be categorized as one. They are a university, they are a school, and they have ways in which they seek to take people into states of oneness, which is their true and natural state of being. So people come from all over the world there, which is very moving to me, because so many people in the world have heard about it. And so there are groups of people from places like China and Japan and Taiwan and Russia. My roommate was from Poland. I met people from Latvia, Lithuania, Brazil, Venezuela, Mexico, the UK, Germany, Australia, New Zealand, the United States, other countries as well. And they have translators. So people are talking into microphones as they're listening and sharing during teaching times, and to these various people of different languages. I'm not trying to sell you on anything here today by any means, because, or do I want to imply that this is for everyone? This is something that I was led to. It's meaningful to me. It doesn't have to be for everyone, but you may have an interest in it. And other people from our ministry actually have gone more than once, but it has helped me. And I think it's made me a better minister. That's my take anyway. I learned about it through a friend back in 2007, and I have been going ever since, and I'm grateful that that person brought it to me. The work that they do is about really clearing and cleaning out your consciousness so that you become more of an open channel for life to move through you, and the life of joy and love and peace and goodness, because it gets blocked in so many ways based on the conditioning that we go through in this world and the different experiences and circumstances that we meet up with and the decisions that we make and the patterns of thought that we create that block life moving through us. So a lot of that is about cleaning your consciousness out, releasing and letting go a great deal. So there are a lot of similarities. We're certainly about that here too, and they have many, many approaches and ways to go about doing that clearing. So they say that spiritual awakening is basically neurobiological. In other words, as you are awakening, that means that you are creating new neural pathways in the brain, so that the old ways that had limited approaches and what have you, that may have been driven by the parietal lobes, which are really about fight and flight, they are now moving into neural pathways that connect and are of the frontal lobes, where oneness is more the experience. And so as you continue to grow and release things and grasp new ideas and truths, you, wherever you are and whatever your life is about, your brain is continually creating new pathways, okay? So as you move into oneness, it's a neurobiological dynamic that has taken place. And it doesn't happen overnight. It is gradual, and it is cumulative. It's not like suddenly, boom, you have awakened. It is an ongoing process. And so they also say that only the divine can do this. As you continue to ask and request and pray and connect and bond more deeply and completely with that God that we draw upon. The goal is freedom, which is to basically free the mind, because we're all prisoners of our mind, as they like to teach. And we are to open up, therefore, to a causeless joy and love. Causeless meaning that we get to the place where we don't need a reason to love. We don't need a reason to be in joy. That's our natural state. And it's returning to that heritage and moving the things out of the way. And you all know, as I speak these words, that actually resonates as the truth. That there is a place in you where causeless love and joy lives. But there are things that stand in the way. There are patterns and conditionings, and that's the way of the human life. But again, the goal is this freedom and to open up to this. The universe is a living entity, you know, and God's presence fills that entire universe. And so it is a living energy, and we are all in relationship with that. And we're all in relationship with that energy, that presence, that divine intelligence, no matter how effective or ineffective we are in engaging with it, or how conscious or unconscious we are that it is there. So we're all on different levels in that domain or that dynamic. So we all really, I believe, want to be free, don't you? I want to be free. I want to be freer, don't you? Hello? Yes? Okay. So what we're talking about is being free internally. Yes, we live in the land of the free. But internally, we have a lot of things going on which are in conflict and trying to make decisions. And should we or shouldn't we? Should we do this or shouldn't we do that? We have dynamics and emotions coming up that we say we shouldn't have, and try and push away and fight and do battle. And there's a lot of dynamics going on in every individual. And so we're trying to move beyond that. Now, when we were children, we had causeless love and joy. That was a natural state, really. You remember Jesus said that you must come as little children in order to enter the kingdom. And that's what he meant. You have to return to that state when you are so free and so clear and engaging with things, and there's wonderment, and you putting things in your mouth, and you're just, everything is new, and there's a kind of an awe about it. Everything is mysterious and wonderful. And so there is that aliveness, and that is the flow of life. That is the free flow of the energy of life before it becomes somewhat stymied. And so, because all of life is relationships, a lack of causeless love really hurts our ability to relate. We have to have reasons, and they have to match up with what our reasons are. In many instances, that's the human way. And so when we're unable to relate, then suffering begins to creep in. Because if we're not relating to our world, if we're not relating to the people around us, if we're not relating well with ourselves, if we're not relating because we really don't have a sense of love and joy moving through us, which is the life of God, because we've blocked it in various conflicts and dynamics going in our mind and haven't really learned how to let go, then we actually bring on, creeping in, elements of internal suffering. And so the cause of the loss of this causeless love is basically, as we teach in Unity and always have, a separation, a sense of separation, a lack of connectedness with the divine. And so a child from the age of around 1 onward begins to be introduced more and more stimulation of the senses. And as the speed at which the senses are now coordinating with the brain, because there's more stimuli happening and more things happening externally, and as those senses are coordinating more and speeded up in the brain, what it does is it brings on the creation of a separate self. Now we have, at this point, a realization at some point in the child that now there's a me and there's a not me. There's me over here and there's these different things over there, and I've lost that sense of connection that I once had. More and more, the brain formulates that sense of separation. It's a natural development of the brain. We can't stop it happening, so it's not like, God, help us. It's like this is a development of a self. And that basically your life is not necessarily a battle to do away with the self. It is basically to liberate yourself from that sense of separation. To realize that it's there, almost kind of make it a friend, begin to witness its ways and not identify with it. And that's the dynamic that you learn and that we learned there in India and are in the process of. So our spiritual journey is getting back to this state of connectedness and this causeless love, and it's to regain that sense of when we were a child, a connectedness with yourself, with others, with nature, with the universe, with all life, and basically you go back, hopefully, to a greater sense of living, as opposed to some people are basically in the state of just existing, just getting through the day, trying to avoid the conflicts. And so understand that in this world, everything is changing. Nothing can stay the same. Nothing remains permanent. That's conflict. Some of us in our mind can't stand everything changing. So that dynamic is going on. The universe, the university points out that there are eras of time, periods of time in the history of our world when changes can be somewhat slowed down, but then there are times in which the changes in the world are at a more rapid pace. And at those times when they are in a rapid pace, as it increases, and it can happen in all fields, and when it usually happens in all fields at the same time, much as it's happening now, and when that happens, as in technology and the economy and politics and other fields, when that happens, there tends to be generally a drop in consciousness, in the collective consciousness. Many people can't cope with the rapid changes. The conflicts begin to multiply. They're used to slowing things down. They don't like a lot of change unconsciously. There's all this dynamic going on. And so With the internet and what have you, we're in that place really essentially because we know more and more of what's going on in the world, the crises, the conflicts, the wars, destruction of bad weather and deterioration of the family and all the different things that are going on. And so it becomes even more important for us to intensify our desire to connect with the divine, to feed the divine more of a connected energy to the collective, so that we are contributing in a sense and feeding it. So we can either go further into separation when this is all happening because we can't cope, or we have to buckle down and really understand that this is more than any other time, a time to learn how best to cope, how best to communicate or commune, to connect, to bond, to engage continually with our source, because that's always the way through. And so the self, in order to survive, the separate self, has to continually identify with something or another, okay? So it's always identifying with things. That's how it sustains itself. So it places its identity with your body, your occupation, it places its identity with various concepts, ideologies, materiality, your house, your car, your all kinds of things that you may not even be in touch with or totally aware of consciously, but you have a host of identities inside of you, things you identify with. And life is meant to be free-flowing, like when we were a child, but slowly we develop certain patterns based on these things that we have identified with. And that life that is meant to be free-flowing gets stuck or frozen or imprisoned in our patterns of thinking and doing and conditioning. Are you with me? Okay. So these patterns can be limiting beliefs, they can be perceptions, they can be ideas or concepts. And just to give you an example, they used the idea that like there's molten iron that's now a liquid flowing and you have molds. And you pour them in, and then now they're in the mold, and now they harden. And now you can't get them out of that mold, okay? And that's kind of what happens in the internal workings sometimes of our mind or the dynamic of this separate self. And so a pattern or a mold that a person might have would be punctuality. They have a pattern that people need to be on time. So if their mold or pattern bumps up with another's who just kind of comes in when they want, it's going to clash. They're going to have anger. And it's nothing more than really a pattern and a mold. And so the dynamic is to learn to see those, okay, going on within you. I use the example also where sometimes a husband may be of the personality that doesn't talk a lot. So the wife, her mold and pattern is conversation. Talk to me. And so her father talked a lot. So that's what husbands are. So when they come home and there's a clash because maybe the husband just isn't inclined to talk and the wife wants to. And so then there's a conflict created. And basically what you're meeting up with is a clash of two molds and patterns, and realizing that diffuses it. So instead of reacting and having a charge, we can instead respond and come from another place as we gain those kinds of awarenesses. So the solution that they give, and this is not new by any means, is to basically stay with what is. The tendency is with our mind and so forth is to push away what is. And so that means by staying with what is there, what is in front of you, or not just externally, but what is going on inside of you, stay with it, because we tend to not want to feel our way or feel bad feelings or whatever. So by staying with the what is, that really means to notice and become witness to the patterns, and then you are able to then de-identify with them. No longer is that me, it's a pattern. It's a mold that I had. And I'm able to just de-identify it by noticing and witnessing instead. So your assignment is really not then to remove these patterns, but by noticing and seeing and witnessing them, you're able to no longer identify. Now, it's the same solution that is recommended when dealing with sometimes things like anger, fear, jealousy, guilt, etc. Typically, we think we want to change our mind. You know, we have to change our mind to get away from that. And they say, typically, you know, you can't change jealousy into love. You know, that these are two distinct and kind of separate energies and thoughts. And this is maybe difficult to understand. Jealousy is jealousy, love is love. And one cannot become the other. So it's not a matter of becoming something different. Salt is salt, sugar is sugar. Salt cannot become sugar, okay? And the suffering that we often experience is internally the effort to change our mind and resist what is there. That battle creates internal conflict, internal suffering, and so it's a fight in the mind. And anything we resist persists, anything that we fight grows stronger. And so you cannot use the mind to get out of the mind. You can't fight the mind, you have to make it your friend. And that means begin to notice it and witness it and see that, oh, you know, I have thoughts, I am not my thoughts. I'm the witness viewing the thoughts. And with that de-identifying, you move from reacting with charges to responding from another place of who you are. So, fear and jealousy and whatever are also simply products of patterns and molds. Again, the solution is to stay with the what is, whatever it is that is there, and to watch it. And without condemning it, this is very important, to see it and watch it rather than any thought that you have. It might be lust, okay? To notice it without condemning it, without commenting on it, without justifying or trying to understand it. Just let it flow on by like it were in a river. And then by noticing it, it tends to break up the mold a bit, and life enters in, and you are beginning to be free of it again. So ask the divine for help in becoming free. Our mind is constantly identifying with something, you know, and the mind is actually the separate self, and the separate self is the mind. You're not becoming free from the mind, because the mind will always be there, but you are free with the mind. And obviously we need a mind to create things in our business and our work and what have you, and outer things. We're talking about internally versus how it is used in external uses to secure your outer dynamics. So the goal is to experience freedom through the what is. And basically our mind stays alive. Our mind, the psychological self, it stays alive by staying busy. If you notice that your mind is always chattering, always talking, there's dialogue going on, the mind always is weighing, measuring, comparing, these kinds of things. The mind is often in conflict most of the day because it likes to struggle between a this and a that. You know, all the choices that we're given. Should I get up at 7 or should I get up at 7:30? Oh, maybe I need to get up at 6:30 today, tomorrow. Oh, what do you think, honey? What should I wear? Should I wear this? Should I wear that? What should we have for breakfast? Where should we go for dinner? We could go here, we could go there. There's all these different conflicts that were created because we have choices to be made, and the mind stays alive with that. It loves it. It likes to create problems, actually. Yeah, you always have to have a problem because the mind likes it until you take control. If you don't use your mind will use you, okay? And so also a key thing to know is that the mind, which is the self, always wants to avoid pain and seek pleasure. Avoid pain, seek pleasure. So that's always going on. And so it wants pleasure, it wants security, it wants significance, it wants variety because it gets bored, and all of these things can create a sense of conflict internally, where you then are suffering on some level and closing down the life that wants to flow through you. By being in the moment and just being who you are in the moment and authentically being with whatever it comes up and being able to witness it and not judge it. And then by that, it passes on by. And then it leaves room and space for something that is more alive in you again. And so, wow, yeah. So I'll touch on attachments really fast. You don't battle with attachments, and they say that they're not, they don't believe in the approach of the Buddhists where attachment is bad. They say enjoy your attachments until they break away. Whether it's your children, enjoy your children. Be attached to them, that's okay. Anything that you enjoy it until it breaks away, because everything is changing in the world. Nothing is permanent, nothing stays the same, and you will find that out. And the more you realize and accept that, the less conflict you're going to have. And so we become attached, a beautiful person, may become attached to that beauty. And they may be attached to youth, they may be attached to their job, to a particular person, to the excitement in romance that they had early on, and where is it gone? It might be a happy period in our life. There's all kinds of things we attach to, and that creates conflict. So ask God to help you see what your attachments are. And again, you get to the place where when it breaks away from you, you understand that there is nothing that you own anyway. The whole world owns it. And you're grateful for the time that you had. And there's a lot of energy that you spend when you try and hold on to something that is ready to break away in your life. There's so much more, but I'm really out of time, and that's okay. I hope that this wasn't too heady for you. This is just a small slice of what went on and what I learned, and what they take you into deep processes to uncover these different elements of your consciousness that you've been living with. They kind of hide out behind rocks. And so the key is to continue to pray, to ask and invite God to help and assist you, to deepen your bond with the one presence and the one power, and to come to understand that the seemingly impossible is always possible in your life. And so I pray for you. I invite you to ask God to help you see what is, to de-identify from old patterns, and to ask the divine to help you become that beautiful little child that is free and fully alive. God bless you.
Thank you for joining us for today's message. We invite you to be with us again next Sunday. Unity is inclusive, welcoming people of all walks of life in dignity and love. We believe that love, strength, and goodness dwells within you. May we all live in unity with God, humanity, and all of God's creation. And remember, as Reverend Caesar says, life is meant to be good.